let's get started. So, the solar system. Does everyone know what the solar system is? Hopefully. Very good. The solar system is made of the sun and all of the objects controlled by the sun's gravity, including the planets. The sun itself makes up over 99% of the mass of the entire solar system. Last time we talked about the inner planets, or the rocky planets, and we still have 4 more to discuss. They're the outer planets, or the gas giants. We'll talk about why these are called gas giants and what that means. We'll discuss them as much as possible in today's lesson, so let's get started. This is a picture here of the 4 outer planets. We have Jupiter. Does everyone know which one Jupiter is in Chinese? I thought this was木星. Very good. And then Saturn? Yes, Jupiter is 木星. The biggest one is 木星, and then the second one, the Saturn, is 土星. And then Uranus. We have Uranus, 天王星. 先有天王星. And then, Kenny, how to spell what? We have Jupiter, 木星, 土星. 天王星 is Uranus. And then 海王星 is Neptune. So, these are the 4 planets we're going to talk about. The largest is Jupiter. So let's talk about Jupiter first. Very good. I'm excited to answer any questions that anyone has. So ask me if you have any questions. 我很想有回答. Oh, Frank already asked about Pluto. We will talk about Pluto soon. We'll talk about Pluto a little bit later. So we say the distant gas giants. They are Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. These beautiful gas planets are unique and very different from their rocky counterparts. What are they made of? How far away from the sun are they? Let's see. We'll start with Jupiter. So, last time, 如果上次没有参加这个第一课，有参加这 Earth, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars 第一部分，我们有一些单词，我们所学的一些内容是这里继续的，所以如果这里有看到的你看不懂的单字，你先问我，可以解释一下。可是我们先就继续说，所以如果有问题的话，我看看有可以问，好不好？ Okay. Jupiter is the largest planet in the solar system. It makes up 71% of the mass of all the planets in the solar system. Does everyone understand that? Very good. It's enormous. It's huge. It orbits the sun once every 4,331 days, making its year almost 12 Earth years long. Does everyone understand orbit? Do we know this? Means It means to go around the sun one time. Very good. Joanna said to trace around the sun. So if this is the sun, then the orbit is to go around one time. And a planet goes around the sun one time. One orbit is 1 year. So one orbit equals 1 year. Earth's orbit equals 365 days, which is 1 year on Earth. Jupiter's year is almost 12 years. Because it is farther away, it takes longer to go around. Does everyone understand this? Okay. Very good. So we'll talk about this with all of the other planets. 我们看有34个重点，就是每一个行星的特色。我们这每一个会看一下，所以这里先解释一下，我们再继续就可以做个比较。因为我们从这里开始有比较远，所以每一个那个我们看这个速度或者这个距离都会变得更大更远。Jupiter rotates once every 10 hours. Do we know what rotates means? To rotate. It is to spin around one time. So, Earth's rotation is 24 hours, which is 1 day. So a day on Jupiter is only 10 hours. But Jupiter is 11 times larger than Earth. So it is spinning very, very fast, which is scary. Jupiter is 778,547,200 kilometers away from the sun. Does everybody see this? It's easier to read in Chinese. 778,547,200 kilometers away from the sun, which is more than 5 times farther away from the sun than we are. Does everyone understand this? 这就是木星离太阳的距离比我们地球远5倍。So it's very far away. We can say the distance from the Earth to the sun I think is about 140 million kilometers. This is 1 AU. The distance from the Earth to the sun is about that far, I think. And scientists will use this measurement to talk about distances. I was wrong. So 1 AU is from the sun to the Earth. So we said this is 5 times farther away. Not a light year, no. 这个光年不一样。光年不一样。A light year. I'm sorry, yes. AU stands for, I'll write this down. Astronomical unit. 这就是地球离太阳的距离。他们会用这个距离当速度，所以说如果是这个木星比离太阳远5倍，就是说5个 AU. Jupiter is 778,547,200 200 kilometers. 778,547,200 kilometers. Jupiter rotates very quickly. It's almost 11 times the size of Earth, but rotates in less than half the time. This means its magnetosphere is very strong. Jupiter has also at least 63 moons. In the picture to the right, the dark spot is the shadow of one moon, Europa. Can everyone see this here? This black spot? That black spot is one of Jupiter's moons. Its atmosphere is mostly hydrogen and helium. The red spot in the bottom left, right here, the red spot right there, is a storm called the Great Red Spot. It is at least twice the size of Earth and is at least 181 years old and possibly over 300 years old. Does everyone understand this? 这个桌边，这个黑点就是木星的一个月亮。Jupiter 有63，至少有63个。是这里右边就是一个好像一个台风一样，可是这个台风的大小比我们地球大至少2倍。So it's huge, and it's at least 已经有200年多。So it's a very interesting place, but it's very dangerous. We could not live on Jupiter. So Jupiter is an interesting place. Does everyone understand this first page? 这第一个我们看这个木星，大家都看得懂齁。好，那我们看这第二个就是土星 Saturn. Saturn is the second gas giant, the 6th planet from the Sun. It's famous for its rings, made of ice, dust, and rocks. Everyone know what these rings are here? Around Saturn? Very good. It orbits the Sun once every 10,759 days, or 29 years. We said that Jupiter was 12 years. Saturn is 29 years. So, if you are younger than 29, you are only 1 Saturn year old. So if you're younger than 29, you are only 1 Saturn year old. 如果你不到29岁的话，你生活的话不算一个土星的一年。很久。Saturn also rotates very quickly. It rotates once about every 10.5 hours, but it's smaller than Jupiter. Saturn is even farther away. 这个土星比木星远2倍。1,433,499,370 kilometers from the Sun. 科学家常常不会用这么大的这个数字，因为就看念出来很麻烦，对不对？我刚刚那个木星的距离我有念错了，所以我回去要念一下。所以我们常常不会这样念，我们会用这个 AU astronomical unit， 知道一个就是地球离太阳的距离。所以我们看 9.5 就知道是距离是快10倍。So we see it's 9.5 astronomical units， 这是比较容易可以说出来，这比较方便。Saturn is the second largest planet in the solar system. It's over 9 times the size of Earth, but far less dense than Jupiter. Saturn's density is so low that it could float on water. Does everybody know what density is? What is density? Everyone understand density? Okay, very good. So, very good. The ratio of mass to volume 就是密度. Saturn is not very dense. Jupiter is very dense. Saturn is not dense. It's so light that it could float on water if there were enough water. Saturn would float. This is interesting. Saturn has 61 moons with secure orbits, but a total of around 200 objects of various sizes that are orbiting it, some within the rings. There are moons that orbit within the rings and keep them in sections, and these moons are called shepherd moons because they shepherd or guide these rings. Saturn's north pole contains a strange storm. 我们刚刚说这个木星也有很奇怪的一种很久的它像一个台风一样，对不对？这个土星的背脊也有很奇怪的我们看这个的话，又看这个有什么很特别的地方呢？有没有看到？就是这个六角。Very good. Saturn's north pole contains a strange storm. It is centered on the North Pole and is a perfect hexagon. It rotates quickly like a hurricane, but maintains its 6 sides, and scientists don't know why. 你在地球上有看过一个六角的台风吗？没有，都是刚好都是圆的，对不对？所以他们说真的不知道为什么这个土星的背脊会有刚好这个六角的，是 very very interesting. So they don't know why, but it's been like that. 他们说至少30年，已经有这个特色，这很特别的地方。Saturn has 200 moons. 不好意思，请等我一下哈。Okay, sorry. Very good. 200 moons. And it has rings. 大家这种照片有看过，对不对？ Saturn 这些中文不知道怎么讲，旁边的非常漂亮，这就是 Saturn 的土星的特色，看就知道，对不对？ So these are the 2 biggest. Joanna, good question. Do gas giants always have strong magnetospheres? 这个 magnetosphere 的话，因为木星、土星它们转得非常快，所以越快越强。Yes, they rotate very fast. So 例如说Mars 就火星几乎都没有，因为有几个特色让火星都没有这个 magnetosphere， 所以就没有。可是因为木星、土星它们转得很快，而且它们里面的一些成分会让它们的这个 magnetosphere 非常强。接下来的2个应该不会有很强的这种 magnetosphere， 还会有，可是没有跟木星、土星这么强。Very good question. So the next one is Uranus. There are a few ways to pronounce this. Does everybody know why this is a strange word? This is Uranus. Some people say Uranus or what else? What's the other one? Uranus. It's Uranus. Very good. Uranus is the 7th planet from the Sun. It's the most distant planet one can see with the naked eye. Does everyone understand this? It was the first planet discovered in modern times, and the first discovered with a telescope. So Uranus is also kind of interesting. Does everyone know what a telescope is? Telescope. Very good. So, if you go outside and it's very dark and the sky is clear, you can just barely see Uranus without a telescope. 可是因为这个 Uranus 是非常远，而且它在太空动得非常慢。很久以前人有好几百年前人有看过，可是因为他们没有看它很快有动，他们感觉是一个行星。They thought it was a star instead of a planet. 因为就一点点可以看到而已。就it's very unique, but it's just at the right distance to see with the naked eye. You cannot see it if it's too dark, if it's too bright outside, or if there are any clouds. It orbits the sun once every 30,799 days, which is about 84 years old. So, is anyone here 84 years old? 我们今天有没有人达到84岁？应该没有，所以我们都还不算 Uranus 的1年1岁，对不对？84 years. So, 我们以前可能还不到一半而已。So this is a long time, but it's because it's so far away that it takes a long time to go around just once. It rotates once every 17 hours. So this is much closer to Earth. 我们地球是转是一次是24个小时。我们刚刚说的那个木星、土星是10个小时、12个小时，那很快。可是这个 Uranus 的天王星是跟我们地球比较像，比较慢。Here's the distance. 这是这里的距离 2,876,679,082 kilometers away from the sun. 所以我不要再念，现在就是说19 AU， 意思就是差不多比地球远20倍，真的好远。Uranus, like Saturn, also has rings, but these rings are very faint. They're not as bright or colorful as the rings of Saturn. Uranus has 27 moons. It's made mostly of hydrogen and helium, as well as many ices. Uranus is not a very active planet, and there doesn't seem to be much weather on it. Interestingly, Uranus is sideways. It spins like the other planets do, but its poles face the sun. So it rolls around rather than spinning. Does everyone understand this part here? Uranus has been, they think a long time ago, Uranus has been hit or knocked over because our Earth spins this way. The Earth spins around the sun. But Uranus spins this way. So as it's like it rolls around the sun. It's very odd. Our Earth is the North Pole and the South Pole, and they spin. Uranus is the北极, 南极, and it spins this way. So it's very odd. And scientists don't know why, but they think that it's because Uranus had been hit by another planet and it knocked it over. And so it is stuck on its side. Very strange. Does everyone understand this about Uranus? Different rotation. It's at a 90-degree angle. Earth on its axis I'll draw this. Earth spins like this. Uranus spins like this. So it's very odd. Here, let's do this. We can say here is the North Pole, and then here is the North Pole. So it's crooked. Very strange. But this is an interesting part, interesting thing about Uranus. Now, someone asked earlier about Pluto. Who asked about Pluto? Roy? Frank. Frank, are you still with us? We'll talk about Pluto in just a minute, but now we have the last planet. I have a question. How many planets are there in the solar system? Yvonne is correct. There are 8 planets in the solar system. Very good. Everyone else is thinking of Pluto, but Pluto is not a planet anymore. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Neptune is the last planet in our solar system. Neptune was found by mathematical prediction rather than observation. People noticed changes. Yes, Pluto has controversy. People noticed changes in Uranus' orbit, and so supposed that there would be another planet, and calculated where it was. They were right. It was Neptune. Does everyone understand what's so unique about Neptune? What mathematical prediction is? Does everyone understand mathematical prediction? Very good. 所以所有其他的我们所看到的木星、土星，其他的都是人看到的才发现。可是其他的这一个，没有看到刚刚那个天王星，要看到它会动一下，我就觉得奇怪，应该比它还远有另外一个什么东西，所以它的重力是有影响它。那他们有看。它会这样动，会跑来跑去。后来再估计，这应该有多一个，后来才发现。So very good. Vincent says on calculation, not observation. So this is unique. The man who discovered Neptune is named William Herschel. He was from England, and he was a very, very bright man, very smart, and he did a good job. With finding Neptune. Neptune orbits the Sun once every 60,190 days, which is 164 years. 我们今天有到164岁的人吗？我们大家都算 hope so 我们算不到Neptune 的半年，对不对？还算80岁，164年。前几个月，可能是去年，刚好 Neptune 是第一次绕一圈有1年。他发现之后有刚好1年。Neptune was just observed 164 years ago， 所以刚好我们发现的 Neptune 存在之后，刚好有1年。因为是164年的时间。Neptune is 503,443,661 kilometers away from the Earth. 容易多了说30 AU, 30 AU. This is difficult to think about. Neptune is the last planet in our solar system. It has 13 satellites. Neptune's storms also have the fastest winds in the solar system, as fast as 2,100 kilometers an hour. Neptune's outer atmosphere is one of the coldest places in the solar system, with temperatures as low as -218 degrees Celsius. Its center, however, can reach over 5,000 degrees Celsius. Does everyone understand the storms on Neptune? The fastest winds in the solar system. We talking about where are we? Cannot imagine. 风暴. Has anyone ever heard of winds 2,000 kilometers an hour? 这比台湾的台风还厉害，对不对? Very fast. And the reason is, yes, exactly. Vincent says 10 times faster. The reason is because the outside is so cold and the inside is so hot. 所以这个很冷的这个天气，还有里面的很热，有碰到，就这个天气这个风暴就会有问题。所以他们说这非常暴力的这些风暴。So this is why Neptune is very interesting. We have a lot of storms, a lot of interesting things going on Neptune. Uranus is not the same. There's not much happening on Uranus. Neptune is very interesting, and scientists want to go there. So let's look at gas and ice. I'll read this. These planets are very different from their terrestrial counterparts, like Earth, for a few reasons. The major reason is that they're made of gases, but they're slightly different. Jupiter and Saturn are called the gas giants because they're the two largest, while Uranus and Neptune are sometimes referred to as ice giants. They're a little bit smaller, and they're mostly ice. There are currently no missions. Does anybody know what missions means? There are currently no missions to Uranus or Neptune. Uranus is not considered to be of interest, but many astronomers and scientists are very interested in Neptune's moon Triton. It's one of the only moons in the solar system known to be geologically active, meaning it has earthquakes and volcanoes and all sorts of interesting stuff. All sorts of cool things. And has an atmosphere, mostly of nitrogen. Jupiter is about as large as a planet of its density can get. Adding more mass to Jupiter would only make it more dense. 这个 Jupiter 再加上更多的东西，就会变得更那个密度变得更高而已，那个大小不会改变，你知道吗？ So it would compress down to about the same size. It says if Jupiter were only 13 times more massive than it is now, it would turn into a star. Does everyone understand this? 如果这个木星的密度高13倍，就会变成一个行星。 Which is very strange. So it's a long way from becoming a star, but it could, because of its size and its density. Its density is very high, so it has an interesting quality here. Let's talk about Saturn's moon Titan. The outer planets are far too hostile, far too dangerous to support human life, but there are some very interesting moons that scientists are beginning to explore. One is Saturn's moon Titan, which is about 9 AU away. The Huygens spacecraft, which is a robot, landed on Titan's surface on January 14th, 2005, after more than 7 years of travel. 这大家都看得懂吗？这 Titan 就是 Saturn 的这土星的一个月亮。现在科学家感觉是非常有趣的地方。Titan is the only natural satellite, only 这一个月亮 in the solar system to have a dense atmosphere, made mostly of methane and nitrogen, and it's the only other place in the solar system, aside from Earth, to have stable bodies of surface liquid, 就是 lakes, rivers, and it's the second largest moon in the solar system. It's about 50% larger than ours. 所以就是地球，这里就是地球，还有 Titan， 还有我们自己的月亮，可以做个比较一下。这个大家都有看得懂吗？ It says that it has lakes and rivers. This Titan, this moon, has lakes and rivers. 有湖有it has. Can everyone still hear me? 大家还是有听得到我的声音吗？ Okay, very good. So this is the only other place in the universe that has lakes and rivers. And just like Frank said, colonization. Colonization means that people might be able to move there and live. Means that people might be able to move there and live. Colonization 的意思就是搬到新的地方。如果你有这里在地球上有发现有一个岛，一个没有人住的地方，那你可以搬到那边，就是 colonize， 就是有建立一个城市一个地方。所以科学家感觉可能30、50、100年后，这个可能会适合人住的地方。还是要改一下，有很多要挑战。可是我们说可能有一些人可以住的地方。This is the Huygens probe. 这下面的这个照片，只有这一张照片 from the surface of a planetary body outside the inner solar system. 只有这一张照片是我们的太阳系的外面拍的照片，这个在一个球体上的照片，只有这一个，所以也很独特的。所以我们这里我们复习一下，我们说如果太阳是一个篮球，这么大的 a basketball, Jupiter would be about this big, and the other planets would be smaller. 我们说距离的话，要做1步、2步、3步，要走多久才会到 ？So if the sun was a basketball, 要走到几步才会到 Jupiter 吗？135，多112才到土星，多249才到天王星。多281才到 海王星。Does everyone understand this? 如果篮球当太阳，这个小的那个球体又当海洋星的话，你要走几步才会到 Neptune 吗？777个。所以这个距离是我们几乎没办法想象，对不对？我们的一些spaceship 这东西又寄到那边的话，要10年、15年才到。你知道他们的速度多快吗？50,000 kilometers a second. I'm sorry, hour. 50,000 kilometers an hour. 还是要15年才到。So it's very, very far. But wait, there's more. Someone asked about Pluto. Does anyone remember Pluto? It used to be a planet, but it isn't anymore. There are now only 8 planets in the solar system. Aside from these 8, there are these other things. Does anybody know what the farthest thing in the solar system is? It's a clump of objects. And there it's called the Oort cloud. And this Oort cloud is about 50,000 AU from the sun. 所以这个比海洋星远还1万多倍，快2万倍。So there is a lot left to be discovered. Does anybody know why Pluto is not a planet? 有人知道为什么这个冥王星不算一个星球呢？简单来说，有这么远的这个地方，他们找到比冥王星还大的球体，所以后来要说，如果就一个比 Pluto 比冥王星还大，应该有可能好几百个，可能好几千个，可能好几万个球体比冥王星还大，所以他们说，后来我们的太阳系有2万个球体，这不行，所以他们后来有科学家有固定有3个条件，说一个球体才可以算是一个星球。那 Pluto 现在不算，因为他们有发现有另外一个星球是比冥王星还大的。So these other terms, dwarf planets, Plutinos, 其他的一些名词、形容词，就是星球之外的一些东西。So, right now, our solar system only has 8 planets. 这大家都听得懂吗？这科学的一些条件有点复杂的解释，我们现在的时间已经到了，所以我们今天都到这里结束。Does anyone have any questions? All right, very good. Thank you very much. You guys, maybe 如果我们有第3个的话，我们有第3句的话，我们会有讨论比海王星还远的东西 ，like Pluto, the outer planets, other things. 可能还有第3个部分，今天是第2个，我不知道会不会有第3个。这样的话，我们还可以讨论我们太阳系之内最远的东西。可是我们今天到这里结束，谢谢大家有参加，我们有讨论，我觉得是很有趣的一些东西，希望你们也觉得是很不错。Thank you very much. 好，谢谢大家，拜拜。